The way we treat drugs in our society is weird. I like to think of myself as a pretty logical person, but when I say the word drug, do you think of Scarface sniffing cocaine, or Snoop Dogg smoking a blunt, or do you think of someone taking prescription painkillers, or drinking a bottle of wine with a meal? They're all drugs, we just view them very differently. I've taken a wide selection of drugs in my life, but at the same time I'm very lucky to have a non-addictive personality. I try to look at the positives and negatives of all drugs, and not judge them based on how I was told to at school. Instead, I did a lot of research on Erowid.com and found out about the actual effects, and especially the bad effects of the drugs I wanted to know about before I took them. Misinformation perpetuated by authority figures is so dangerous because anyone that's ever taken a stereotypically bad drug will immediately realize everything they say is bullshit, and maybe even misjudge the realistic levels of harm drugs can cause because of it. I mean, if they were as bad as they're made out to be, why would anyone take them in the first place?
I have taken drugs before, and I had a real good time.
The issue I'm talking about here for the most part is our good friend alcohol. I've got nothing against alcohol. I've had some of the greatest times of my life while I've been drunk. It makes you more sociable, and it makes you do loads of hilarious mad shit, and it was probably responsible for like 90% of all sex and relationships before online dating came along. I love having a nice whiskey on the rocks or a Cuba Libre on a Friday night, but at the same time it's so massively accepted as fine relative to bad drugs. It's just insane to me. Alcohol in the quantities most people drink it is by no means a completely safe drug. Aside from the bodily harm it causes, alcohol has a huge amount of social harm too. In England, 7.4% of all hospital admissions are for alcohol-related reasons, and it's the biggest cause of death for people aged 15 to 49. That means if you're in that age bracket, you're more likely to die because of alcohol than anything else. And that's just fucking insane. I know the vast majority of people that drink have a great time, but these statistics still shocked me. In contrast to these statistics, alcohol consumption is completely normalized.
Come on, everybody, let's be hypocritical bastards. It's okay to drink your drug. We meant those other drugs.
Personally, I believe that grown adults should be able to make decisions on what substances they want to put in their bodies, so I'm completely fine with the legality and semi-sensible use of alcohol. The issue is that other recreational drugs, such as ecstasy, ket, and magic mushrooms, are completely demonized by society. Not only are they highly illegal in most places, they are viewed as scummy, and the people that take them are considered to be addicts.
Did somebody get addicted to crack?
Or worse, hippies. Now, I'm not saying these drugs are totally safe by any standards, but a study done by the Independent Scientific Committee on Drugs scored 20 different drugs on their harm criteria, and they found alcohol to be the most harmful. This study was done by David Nutt, who was famously sacked from his position as a government advisor because his studies didn't align with the government's drug policies. He also very famously said that ecstasy was less dangerous than horse riding. I don't know if it's just me or where I live, but almost everyone I know seems to get drunk every single night. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I can see why this behaviour is normal. Every movie I watch, every TV show, normal people are having a great time at parties getting drunk. Even on YouTube, people base videos and even whole channels around getting drunk. And that's fine, but it would seem totally crazy if people were racking up lines or taking shrooms on the same scale. I know plenty of movies do have those things in, but the people that are shown to take less common drugs are never just normal people. They're always exaggerated stereotypes and complete addicts. Even though I'm well aware how popular cocaine is at the minute among perfectly normal people. Weed can make you relaxed or make music sound totally different. Shrooms and acid can take you on life-changing journeys. Pills can make you literally love every stranger you meet. A pipe of black mamba can take you to a different dimension where you meet aliens that are little white and black blocks, and they accept you as an emissary from another place and hail you as their king, and you figure out the meaning of life but forget it because you're too high, and you've got too bad of a dry mouth to relay it to your friend. I'm not saying these drugs don't have their negatives. Everything does. I'm just saying that when taken responsibly, they can be very enjoyable. Very rarely do we see the consequences of alcohol consumption in media. In a sense, even the hangover has been glorified as the sign of a good night out. It kind of is, but I've never seen someone glorify the soul-crushing depression of an ecstasy hangover, and there's nothing like a night on the pills. God, I hate being hungover. It's like the main reason I don't drink as much as I did as a kid. I know a lot of people that take illegal drugs regularly, and a couple of them are addicts, and they know it too. But I know a lot more people who are alcoholics, but think that the amount they drink is completely normal. And the crazy part is that it is. When the government is recommending 1 or 2 days without alcohol a week to normal people, you know there is a serious problem going on. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that drugs should always be taken responsibly, if at all. And even though I don't think it's a bad drug, the normalization of alcohol is so out of touch with its actual harm and impact relative to other drugs. You should always do your research on drugs, or at least take them with a friend that knows what they're doing. And you shouldn't immediately think some drugs are fine and some are bad, based on what you're told at school or because the government says they are bad, or there's one horror story that makes the news.
You never see positive drug stories on the news, do you? Isn't that weird? Since most of the experiences I've had on drugs were real fucking positive. Who are these morons they're finding? That's what I want to know.
I'm not saying alcohol should be demonized, but drugs should be considered on their realistic harms and not on their traditional usage in society. Thank you to David Nutt for standing up for a fair analysis of drugs. Thank you to Bill Hicks for basically saying exactly what I just said years ago. And thank you for watching. Cheers.